Let's say we're longer on issues to do with illegal mining. We've been joined by Director of Communications for Dr. Aboagye 2024 campaign, Dennis Miracles Aboagye, who visited the Konyako site yesterday together with some journalists. He's joined us via Zoom. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. First, what was the motive behind the NPP heading to the site of the Konyako water works yesterday? What was really the motivation behind your visit to that particular site?
Hi, good afternoon, Howard. I think it was simply to provide the much needed and requested evidence by the government. You recall that after the president's media engagements, a lot of Ghanaians were not too excited with the response he gave to the Galamsey menace. I mean, people felt that he wasn't giving strong enough responses. He wasn't giving enough assurance and hope. And then subsequent to that, Honorable Kwachu Fosu, the Minister for Government Communications, basically was saying that if anybody believes the Galamsey menace has become worse than it was, they should provide evidence. And so we went to Konyako, a community that has never experienced such situation before in their river, especially where they drink and cook from, to simply show the government that indeed, if the Catholic bishops say that the situation is worse, then it is worse. If the Trade Union Congress say that the situation is worse, then it is worse. But if he still insists that he wants evidence, the evidence is right at his backyard, in his own region, the central region. And so hopefully, now that we've presented this to the government communications minister, he will let the government see this, and then they will take some urgent action towards it. Our worry is not the fact that Galamsey hasn't ended in 9 months. Nobody expects the government to get Galamsey out of the way in 9 months. What we are saying is that we want to see the government take decisive action towards the fight. For example, the government made some 6 specific promises in dealing with Galamsey, and we don't see him implementing even one yet. One of which he even promised he would do it within the first 120 days. And so we just want to see him implement some of these proposals he made whilst in opposition that are captured in his manifesto. Once we see him do it, at least we'll know that he's done his bit. But for now, we don't see that. He's rather giving us cause to be worried that indeed he may be buying gold from Galamseyers, and that's a worry. If we connect all of this to his commentary when he was in opposition, where he promised to free Galamseyers, that is a worry. If we connect it to how his party's national officers were in the Galamsey pit, promising them that they will be allowed to mine once the NDC win power, that is a worry. Once we connect all these things, then we look at this posture and the demeanor of the president. We are only worried that maybe he is actually giving room for these Galamseyers to thrive, and that is why the situation is worsening, and that is a worry to us.
Well, Mr. Aboagye, if you say decisive action, I think you would want to suggest the state of emergency that most CSOs are calling for, but the president has said that the current state does not warrant a state of emergency in these Galamsey areas. What more do you want the government to be seen to be doing?
So we are not only calling for a state of emergency. I mean, I, for one, have never been a believer in a state of emergency dealing with the situation. That is why when we're in government and the president and his party and his cabinet ministers now were calling for a state of emergency, I wasn't in support of that, but they called for it. They actually told us it was the best. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, who is rightly responsible for this, said that there is a need for a state of emergency now. The Foreign Affairs Minister said there was a need for a state of emergency. Sam George, about 4 cabinet ministers, they all said, Honorable Haruna Idrusu, they all said there was a need for a state of emergency. They said it. I didn't say it. They knew why they thought a state of emergency was needed then in 2024. And so if today everything points to the fact that the situation has escalated and the president tells us that he doesn't think we have gotten to the point where there's a need for a state of emergency, whilst barely 9 months ago, when the situation was even less troubling than this, they were calling for it. Again, it is another reason for us to be worried that he may not be willing and ready to fight the Galamsey menace. There are 6 promises that the president made. We are simply asking him to take actions in implementing these 6 promises. That's all. So far, what the government has done is to simply continue all the measures that were already in place before they came to office. For example, you ask them and they tell you that they form a blue water guard. The water guards have been on our water body since 2022. They've been there. So it is not an initiative by the government. Two, they show us videos and pictures of burning excavators and burning shamfans. Burning of excavators and burning shamfans have always been there on your own portal, City Newsroom. Go and check. As early as October 2024, there were military people and police people burning excavators and burning shamfans, which your media room was, your newsroom was reporting on. So that is also nothing new from the government.
Very well.
Our worry is there was a reason why you were voted into office. The government that was there then was kicked out because of things that you claimed they were not doing right. What are the new measures you are putting in place? We want to see those measures implemented ASAP because the situation is now dire than it was before.
Very well. Miracles, before you take leave of us, tomorrow your party is demonstrating against what you call a state-sponsored harassment on some of your members, particularly ex-government appointees. How far with preparations ahead of tomorrow's protest?
We are very much ready for it. We believe that in a democratic dispensation like ours, nobody should weaponize the law. Nobody should weaponize power. The law should be applied fairly and squarely and in a just manner. We are not saying that if somebody fouls the law shouldn't take its course. But we are saying that we want to see equal application of the law across board. And we want to see this government eschew from weaponizing the power they have to harass their opponents. Right now, it's as if once you see anything that the government doesn't find palatable, they must find an excuse one way or the other to arrest you. And then when they arrest you, they take satisfaction in parading you before cameras with handcuffs on your hands and giving it to their social media people to share. And then they keep you for a couple of days, place some unreasonable bail bonds on your head, which takes you days before you're able to meet those bail bonds. And then eventually they let you go, and that's it.
Very well.
They don't really bother. It's not anything on you. And that for us is a big cause for concern. Remember, they moved from just MPP. Recently, they did it to our musician, Shatta Wale. I'm sure very soon, Hawa, if you don't join us to speak up, it may get to your doorstep. And I think we all need to simply
hopefully not. But thank you so much for speaking to us. That is Miracles Aboagye, his aide to Dr. Bawumia, the former vice president. Let's now take you live to the Revolution Square.